Oops. Hey guys, well, the frost has happened this week, and I've waited to do the last part of this perennial border to weed and to cut things back on purpose, because the plants I wanted to get frosted were my Pearly Gates, Morning Glory Vine, the asters, and the garden phlox. They like to get frosted. Number one, I like the vine to get frosted because you can see it's going to be easier to pull off of this, whole lot easier to pull off of this arbor. And I will finish cleaning this up. Oops, it's stuck in the rows too. But it helps when things have died like this to get them off of these pergolas. Well, I'll come back and get the rest of that. But let's move forward. I've always divided my gardens up into sections, and we talked about that early in the spring. So I've gotten everything done except this last border. And this is clean in here. But what we're doing today, not only taking the Pearly Gates down, which it did everything I wanted it to do. It was green, it softened that edge, it softened the edge of the compost pile. And I will do that again. And didn't know that it was going to be a late bloomer until I grew them. And I loved having the color all through the end of September and October. And here it is, a late frost, I think, for West Virginia in November. But I've enjoyed it immensely. So the other thing we're doing today is when I cut back my asters, after you've had a couple of frosts, I take them clear to the ground. Not a hard job. And I had them tied. So let me get that off of there. Next year, what I've decided, and I did this year even, I cut them back in June. You can start cutting your asters back in June by about 1/3 to give them the ability to branch out more and not be so top heavy. And it's the weird thing is I did that and they still grew. And I don't know, we had an exceptionally warm, hot summer, and which is unusual for us. We started having 90 degrees in May, and it stuck with us till September, and then it was 80 in October. So I think we had extra growth due to that. So next year in June, I'll start cutting them back by 1/3, and in July, if like they're getting too big, cut them back a little more, because I like to keep my asters, you know, these are, I'm 5 feet tall, almost 5 feet tall, and in the past when I've cut them back, they stay about 3 to 4 feet, and they don't splay out so much. So it creates less work, because then you don't have to come in here, tie them up, stake them up. So we'll cut these back to the ground. Same thing with the garden phlox. You can also start cutting them back a little bit in the summer. And this did a nice job. Of course, I've already topped it, but it stayed nice and round at about 4 feet. And this is the beautiful white garden phlox, which I love. The white garden phlox, I have it throughout. I've already cut out 2 nice clumps this morning, and I'll make quick work of those later. So you cut those back, and then, oops, you can see all these little weeds. These are all going to get pulled up, and they go in a separate bucket. I don't ever put my weeds in my compost pile. And I won't be putting the asters because I don't want these seeds in my compost pile. And those are things to remember when you are deadheading your plants at fall. Remember, all those deadheads that have seeds could eventually end up in your compost, and you have all those seedlings to deal with. So keep that as a mental note, which I will. Now the sedums, which still look beautiful, they will stay in the garden through the winter. as long as they stay upright like they are. And then the grasses, because they're beautiful interest, and the birds get a little love out of them. But as for everything else, it looks pretty clean to me, except this one little bit. And it'll probably, that's my day to day. Get that all mulched in, and I think I'll be finished with the perennial border. So it just little by little, we started cleaning things off probably in August, 1st September. You don't let it overwhelm you. It doesn't have to all be done in one day. This is November, and I'll finally have everything tidied up the way I like it to get on to the next winterizing projects, which there's still several to do. So I appreciate you watching and supporting me on Gardening on the West Fork. Please subscribe and like and share, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.